can see it full and you in a little corner.
Perfect.
Want to see that?
Hopefully that's what everyone's looking at. I'm just going to pull.
I can see the chat as well. So if you want to,
Awesome.
Make a note, I can.
Good.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So guys, I'm going to dive on in, give you guys, I guess, a little bit of background. Grace mentioned that you wanted to know a little bit more about social media for your organizations. It's really great to be back in here chatting with not-for-profits. It's been a little while for me, but I'll give you guys a little bit of history, I guess, as to who I am and, you know, what we get up to. Our business is Oxano Marketing. Oxano is a Greek biblical word that means to cause to grow and become greater. And that's what we're really passionate about. But that comes from a place of, I guess, learning and experience through life for me over the last 15 odd years. My very first ever job was in the direct selling industry, which is sort of a story I'm not really going to go into today, but it is why I specialize in the direct selling space now. So as Grace mentioned, we wholly and solely work with direct sellers. These are people that are in party plan, network marketing, etc. Basically individuals that run their own business. However, I actually, the greatest part of my career, the longest part of my career has been working with the entertainment book, which I'm sure many of you guys would be very familiar with. I actually started at 19 working with the entertainment book in Adelaide, where I worked there for a couple of years, and I got myself up to the top of the ranks and worked really hard with the company, and they then promoted me into a role where I began the first ever Tasmanian entertainment book. And that'd have to be around about maybe 14 or 15 years ago now. Gosh, it's making me feel old, but it's a while ago. And I came to Tassie, set up the first entertainment book, and worked with them for a further 10 years. This is a picture of every year we used to go away for an annual conference at this time. So I've got all these memories coming up on my Facebook right now of those 12 years I worked with the company. But every year we used to take this company photograph, and some of you guys might remember these. They used to come out on hard copy Christmas cards every year and get sent to every organization that we worked with. And so this was a really special one for me because this was right here in the front row, and all of the managers of the company always got to go in the front row. And I remember for about 4 years, I worked super hard because all I ever wanted was to be in the front row on the Christmas card. That was the result of maybe like 70 hours a week of going super hard. But that was in between two kids there too. So long time ago, but a lot of fun. But the entertainment book was a really great opportunity for me because it was an opportunity for me to work in an industry where I got to help people grow their organizations. I got to help them make more money, obviously, but more importantly, I got to help them reach more people through word of mouth. And you guys would probably have heard if you've worked, actually, I'd love to know, chuck in there. I'm going to see if I can find a way to pull up this chat again so I can see it. Let's see if I can see the chat. Here we go. I've got it. I found it. Got the chat back. So I'd love to know who currently works with Entertainment Book. Who's got a rep that they work with or a consultant? I know things have changed a bit since I've left. The company sold, and the amount of staff has reduced, so the service may have changed a bit. But this was an opportunity for me to grow in the marketing space. And then, as you guys would know, that then moved into apps. And so digital marketing became a huge part of what we did. But after around about 12 years, I realized that there was something really missing. I wanted to get out and I wanted to help people grow even further. So I wanted to use everything I'd learned. And I wanted to be able to help people with this whole thing that was social media. Social media had become a really huge part of what we did at the entertainment book, but I had a real fascination for building relationships and then also helping people to translate that into social media. And so hence where we've moved today with what we're doing. Now, I've got some stuff I'm going to go through with you guys today, but as I do, I would like to ask all of you a question. So I've got the Q&A and the chat open now. I'm multitasking. So I want to ask all of you a question. I like these sessions to be really interactive. So I would love to know Guys, what's the one thing that you would most love to know today? What's the one thing around social media that you'd love to get an answer on or some help with? And I'd also like to know, do you manage your social media, or is someone else in the organization managing the social media? And you're kind of communicating stuff back. That would be really helpful for me to know as well, because it also changes potentially what you need to know. But we're going to cover off on some stuff today that I think is going to be really helpful for all of you, but I'm kind of going to be open to that Q&A as we go today as well, and let this be a little bit more flexible, because again, I would imagine you're all in very different positions right now. So I'm watching that chat. So if you guys can jump in there and answer those two questions, that would be really great. And just a little, I guess as I've mentioned before, we do specialize in direct selling. So our company is now built around purely presenting and training. We used to do consulting and running social media for people. But we've moved away from that in many places, because we realize that you guys get a better result in your organization when you are running the social media yourselves. And we'll talk a bit about why that is today, because it was actually one of the questions Grace emailed through to me yesterday. I thought it was a really great question. I really want to knuckle down on that one, because I know it's very easy sometimes to think, you know what, let's outsource our social media to someone that knows what they're doing, but no one knows your organization quite the same way that you do. So we'll get to that. So if you do want to get some more information about social media, you want to be kept up to date, there's two ways that you can do that. We're obviously, if you leave today and you're like, I want to know more, I'm hungry for more, then our Facebook page, we're constantly putting information up on there. Obviously follow that. We'd love to hear from you. But also we've got a little podcast. Now, our podcast is specifically for direct sellers. However, the information that we're sharing is general to everybody. So if you'd love to learn a little bit more about some certain aspects of social media, or you've got someone on your team that's doing the social media and it's not specifically you, then jump on and check out the podcast, have a look through the episodes and find some that are relevant for you. And we'd love to encourage you to do that too. So I'm going to jump on in and give you guys a bit of information on what's going on in the background right now. So I'm assuming everyone on here today is in Australia or New Zealand. We don't have anyone outside of that space, Grace? No, cool. So 24.7 million is the current Australian population. Now in that, 15 million of those people have got a Facebook profile that they use at least once every day, and 9 million of those people have got an Instagram profile. So that essentially means that 6 in 10 people that you pass in the street right now, including infants and seniors, have been on their Facebook or Instagram profile within the last 24 hours. 2.38 billion are the number of Facebook profiles currently worldwide. And 1.43 billion of those people use their Facebook feed somewhere between 8 and 12 times every single day, with an average visit time of 20 minutes. So that's a massive amount of potential exposure for us. The challenge for us is getting their attention, because we all know there's heaps of people on social media right now. They're using it every day, but how do we break through the noise? And this is the greatest question. How do I reach people? I think one of the questions Grace sent through to me was, how do we brand ourselves? How do we get to more people? Now, the assumption might be I should run adverts, etc. We're going to come to that, but we're going to first of all talk about why it is so difficult to reach people right now, given that they're all on social media. So this is where I get to tell you guys a bit about what's going on in the background. Now, I'm not going to get technical on you. I'm going to explain this in really simple terms that make sense, but it's so important. Knowledge is power. So important for us to understand why things work the way that they do. Because half of the mistakes I see people making on social media is simply lack of understanding. They're doing what they think they need to be doing because they're mimicking, they're copying, they're listening to what other people are saying, but they don't have the knowledge for themselves. I would like you guys to make really good decisions on social media for your organizations, because it is so super powerful. But the way that we make those decisions is by having an understanding around why it is we should be making them. Now, the algorithm, essentially, to explain this, I need to go back a little bit in time. Around about 6 or 7 years ago now, Facebook realized that it was becoming a really busy place. Basically, businesses had cottoned onto the fact that they had a captive audience on social media. And so what they began doing was actively selling their products, their services, their business opportunities. And you guys might remember that time because it became a very spammy space and users were leaving Facebook in droves. They were dropping off left, right, and center. And Facebook realized if it was going to keep being competitive, if it was going to keep having a platform, it needed to adapt and become smarter. So what Facebook did was it brought into play the algorithm, which is a program that operates in the background of Facebook, and it is changing every minute of every day. It is constantly evolving and changing. So essentially, this algorithm's job, its sole job, is to learn everything there is to learn about each and every one of you. It learns things like what you do for a living, what your family life looks like, your age, your demographic, your behaviors, your interests, what websites you go to. It even learns things like your household income. It then takes all of this information and it uses it to deliver you only the content it knows you want to see, with the intention of keeping you on the platform for longer and more frequently. So to put it in really simple terms, this Facebook algorithm means that your Facebook and Instagram feed are customized to you like a fingerprint. There are no two the same, and it's for you and you alone. Now, as an organization or a business, this becomes a real problem because we are programmed naturally to broadcast. We're programmed to tell people what we want them to hear in order to get them to do what we want them to do. So in every activity we do on social media, we're constantly broadcasting to people, but we're not delivering them content that Facebook knows they're going to be interested in, which means Facebook's not showing it to them. So what happens is we're working really hard at putting posts out there and content out there. And we think that just because we've got 10,000 people on our Facebook page, that all of those people are going to be exposed to the post we just created, when in actual fact, these are the people that said, I would be interested in seeing stuff from this page if they deliver something that I would be interested in. And so Facebook does what we call shadow banning. So when we put a post up that is all self-promotional, it's all about us as an organization, it doesn't contain anything that would be of value to the end user, Facebook hides it. It doesn't show it to all of your followers, because it knows if it does show every one of these posts, they're going to leave the platform because it's no longer interesting to them. Is this making a bit of sense? So this is the point where we have to go, okay, what do we now deliver that people want to see? How do we get their attention? Now, some of you guys would be doing this really, really well, but others would be really struggling in this space because it doesn't come naturally for us to do this. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks to help you get around this algorithm, some stuff to help you reach more people. But the first thing that we have to do, no matter what, is know exactly who it is that we're talking to. Now, whether you're a business, whether you're a not-for-profit, whether you're a direct seller, it doesn't matter. Each and every one of us has got a key, ideal, perfect client that we want to work with, a perfect person that we want to work with. Now, for some of you, it's people that you can help. For some of you, it's people that can donate. For some of you, it's people that can support and assist. For others, it's all of those. But the question is, what does that person look like? What does that ideal target customer look like for you? Now, I would love to know if any of you guys have done this exercise before. Have you ever identified who it is specifically that you're reaching? The thing is that if we don't know who we're creating content for on social media, we're actually creating it for no one. Now, I'm just going to put something out there, a little disclaimer before we get any deeper into this. And that is that although I teach social media, I want to be super clear that I am really old school when it comes to marketing. I believe wholly and solely in face-to-face, belly-to-belly, and word of mouth. I am a huge advocate for, if you get the opportunity to pick the phone up, to have a one-on-one conversation, to do an in-person event, do it. However, social media is a really powerful vehicle that we can use to get further branding and awareness, to further educate people, to meet new people, and to further build the relationships with those that we've connected with. So although I'm teaching you social media, please don't misunderstand. I don't want you to use it in place of that human interaction where you can have that. So this becomes a bit of a danger zone, because I don't know if any of you guys have been through this experience. I've seen it happen many times where you have maybe a millennial come in and you get them to run your social media for you, and suddenly they've got this idea that everything needs to go online. We're going to stop making those phone calls, or let's have an online event instead of an in-person event. And social media shouldn't be replacing those things. So I'm not an advocate for that. but it's really powerful to help you connect with these perfect people that you want to connect with. So some of the things that you should be identifying about your ideal customer are all of those things I said before that the algorithm knows about you. Things like their age, their gender. You want to get to know things like what they do for a living, what their family life looks like. Do they have kids or don't they? Because if they've got kids, it's also good to know their ages, different challenges in life. We've got 4 kids. They range in age from 7 through to 14. And I can tell you we've got some very different challenges between those kids right now. So knowing that and knowing that about me, if I were your ideal customer, would be really valuable because it would help you speak into things that actually matter to me at this point in my life. So once we get to know all these things about our customer, remembering that Facebook knows it, so us knowing it is helpful because we can help Facebook give them the content that we want them to see. But then there's 2 questions that you should be able to ask yourself about your ideal customer that will then formulate everything you do on social media. Now, for not-for-profits, this is even more powerful than it is for any other organization because for all of you, you are out solving a problem in the community in some way, shape, or form. You're standing up for something and you either want to be educating or you want to be helping people. And so these 2 questions are going to make a really big difference to your social media. And whoever's running your social media, I can see a few people have answered that question where you've got other people running the social media for you. What I would encourage you to do is bring these 2 questions back and either have a meeting with the person that's running your social media and ask them, do you know who we're reaching? Do you know who we're delivering content to? Have you identified our target customer? They'll probably say, oh, we've got loads of them. So no, I don't want to identify them because there's heaps. There will be low-hanging fruit. I would encourage, I think, Grace, you and I had this conversation a little while ago. And I remember talking to you about ideal customers and also known as avatars, and encouraging you guys to focus first on the low-hanging fruit. So you might have 2 or 3 people or I guess ideal customers you can aim towards. Keep it small and focus on those people to start with. Now, the 2 questions that you want to be able to ask yourself about these people are, number 1, what keeps them up at night? This means what problems do they want to solve in life? What challenges them? What upsets them? What frustrates them? What annoys them? But specifically, what problems do they want to solve? The other question is what gets them up in the morning? This means what do they love in life? What makes their heart sing? What do they value? What's important to them? What actually matters to them? When you know the answer to these 2 questions, you're able to then formulate everything you do on social media to either be improving their life or reducing their pain. If you can't solve a problem, that's okay. You might simply be acknowledging and supporting that problem. So knowing what it is that you're here to help them with and making your content on social media forming that around these 2 questions makes a big difference and goes a long way towards reaching your perfect people. So a couple of things for you guys. I know a lot of you were asking, Grace, should we be using Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter? And I think I can see, Sue's just popped a question in about LinkedIn. So I specifically focused on Instagram and Facebook today, but just to put this out there for a moment, all platforms have got different benefits. They can help you in different ways. The question I would be asking yourselves is, who is our ideal customer and where can I reach them? Where can I, not what are they on, but specifically how can I connect with them? So for example, I use Facebook and Instagram, but I don't use Instagram in a way that would be conducive to building a relationship with me, because the way I use Instagram when I'm not working, by the way I use Instagram is to literally flick. I just look through the pretty pictures, and I know a lot of people do that too. LinkedIn, I jump on fairly rarely. I jump on there on occasion just to make sure I'm keeping up with all the messages that people might be sending through to me, but I don't use it much to connect with people. However, I actively use Facebook to connect and communicate. So if I were your ideal customer, getting to know those things about my behavior on the platforms would help you decide where you should be spending your time. If you wanted to get my attention, you would be wasting your time doing it on LinkedIn or on Instagram. But if you wanted to get my attention, Facebook would be a great place to be doing that. So this is why understanding your ideal customer is so valuable. Just because you love using a particular platform doesn't mean that that's the platform that your ideal customer or client or the person that you want to reach is hanging out on. So get to know where they are and what they're doing and what they're paying attention to. A few things that are really going to help you as well is, again, knowledge is power. Just because someone tells you that something is a certain way doesn't mean that it is. I know a lot of people would tell you, oh, Instagram's the new thing, that's what you should be using. Guys, Instagram has got a place. Facebook has got a place. LinkedIn has a place and Twitter has a place. None of them are better than the other. They all have a specific use. Getting to know what that use is and how it can benefit you is really, really important. Instagram might be the new way to go for one organization, but not for another. Now, when it comes to not-for-profits, however, you guys are very much information-based. For most of you, and not all, but for most of you, you will be much more about education, support, letting people know what's going on with the money that maybe is going into the organization, and awareness. So I would encourage you to find platforms that are going to help you spread that awareness, whatever it is for you. Just a couple of things to be aware of. Instagram is very visual. I'm sure we all know that, but something to be aware of is that if you want people to take an action, if you want to get people to click links, to go to certain places, to register, to donate, to get involved in any way, Instagram is a difficult place to get people to take an action. However, it's a great place to brand. It's a great place to create some awareness because it's so visual, and branding is very much a visual thing. So Instagram is all about the pretty picture. It's image first, caption or text second. The caption and text is an afterthought on Instagram. So when you go to an Instagram feed, you'll notice you see what we call the grid, which is literally all the images, no text at all, that person has shared. In order to see the text, you either need to go to your feed, and it will show the posts on Instagram in an order that Instagram's decided to deliver it to you based on that algorithm. Or you've got to click on the image you like the look of in order to see what they wrote with it. My point here is that it's very difficult to get the point across if you can't get it across with the image itself. So you almost have to tell the story with your picture on Instagram. Facebook is very different because it's caption or text first and image second. And anywhere that you go on Facebook, you will always see the caption with the image. Now, the other thing about Instagram versus Facebook is that you can share a link with Facebook on every post. On Instagram, you can only ever share a link in one spot, and that's in your bio, your information or about section. So if you want to share a link for people to click on, you need to go into that bio and change it each time you put a post up to reflect the post. So you can't simply put it in your caption. Whereas Facebook, you could put a different link on every post, no problems. Not necessarily recommended. That's a different, I guess, conversation to have, but you can definitely be sharing loads of links. So they're very different in that the way that they should be used. One of the greatest failures of people when it comes to social media is that they treat all of the platforms in the same way. They use Facebook in the same way that they use Instagram and LinkedIn and even Twitter. And they all have to be used in different ways. There are different demographics using each platform. And Facebook will also pick up when you're not using it the way that it's intended. So for example, if you use loads of hashtags on Facebook, you'll get picked up by the algorithm. It doesn't like a lot of hashtags. In fact, most of your posts should be used without any hashtags at all. So if you're a hashtagger, big warning lights should be going up right now because Facebook doesn't love a hashtag. The only time you should use a hashtag on Facebook is if it is strategic. So if you're promoting a particular event or something that's going on, and you shouldn't be using them on every post. So less than 3, and be strategic about which ones you're using. When you're using loads of hashtags on Facebook, your post will get hidden from majority of your fans and followers because it knows that you're using it in the way you would use Instagram or Twitter. So we've got to be a bit mindful about that. Grace, how much time have we got?
Sorry, there's a truck that's just, it's 7 past now. So you've got maybe 10
Well,
minutes and then question.
well, yeah, cool. All right. So a couple of super quick things, guys. I'm just going to jump over to a couple of little tips to help you with the algorithm to sort of get past it there. The first one that I would encourage you to do, or encourage your social media team to do, is know what the objective is and stick to that. So your objective might be to educate, it might be to sell, it might be to get donations or sponsorship, it might be to inspire. Whatever that is for you, be really clear about the objective and then create a social media strategy to achieve that objective. So think about, what are we going to do in order to get that message across, whatever that is. And every post that you put up should be thinking about that. The other thing I just want to say, and this was something I really see a lot in the not-for-profit industry, is too many cooks in the kitchen. It's really easy to offload social media because you think, number one, it's not that important. Guys, it is, in this day and age, it is so important. It is far too important to offload on someone that doesn't know what they're doing. If there were an area in your business where it's worth having a budget or where it's worth educating somebody, it's in your social media, because your social media can impact your organization like nothing else. And that could be educating, or it could be getting donations or growing your organization. Whatever that looks like for you, social media is too powerful to offload. The other thing I see happening a lot is people having teams of people running social media. Now, that only works when you've got a team that it is their job to run social media, and they are meeting and coming up with strategy every week, and they are all on the same page. When you've got multiple people posting, it's just madness and mayhem, and it doesn't work. So one voice, one objective, one strategy. I highly recommend that you have one person that knows what they're doing. And by the way, running a business page is different to running a personal profile. So if you see someone in your organization, you go, oh, they're on social media all the time, they use it for their personal profile, they can run our social media. That isn't a qualification, because a personal profile should be run in a completely different way to a business page. So I highly encourage you to get your social media department up to date and trained. It is well worth making sure that they know what they're doing. A couple of other things really quickly: be consistent or you'll be non-existent. You need to be posting on your social media between 5 and 7 times a week, no matter what platform you're using. 5 to 7 times every single week, and know who you're talking to in that. So identify that ideal customer, be strategic, make sure that you're focusing on your objective. Fluffy, random posts, not going to help you with anything. They'll be a waste of your time. Also, follow the 80-20 rule. That is that 80% of all of the posts and content you put out there on any platform should first and foremost be engaging, informative, interesting, and entertaining to your target customer. And then when you get those things right, you then earn the right to do 20% of self-promotion. Self-promotion includes the use of your organization name. It includes the use of your phone number, your email address, numbers, all of those things, dollar signs, all those things get picked up by that algorithm as being self-promotional. It goes, they're talking about themselves, and it doesn't show your post to people as much. And therefore also goes with this one, which is that the best way to sell is not to sell. It's to be constantly thinking, how do we provide value? And I highly encourage you guys to do 2 things in your content. Number 1, be conversational. It is social media, which means we need to be social. We need to interact with people. And everywhere that you possibly can, use video. Facebook and Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn, they all favor video now. So definitely be using as much video as you possibly can. All right, so I'm going to pull it up there. There's so much more I could share with you guys right now, but I know we've got some questions coming in. And there was one question I did want to quickly answer, Grace, that I think is fairly important, and that was around advertising. So I had a few people come in and say, hey, should we be running ads on our Facebook or Instagram? We've heard that they're valuable. The first thing I would say is to go back to what I said before, and that is that education is so important. Understanding and knowing what's good for your organization is key, because it's different for everyone. So one thing I really want to point out is that you can pay Facebook to deliver your post to more people, but you can't pay people to click on that post. So if you haven't yet cracked your organic reach, meaning if you haven't got people to interact with your page, no matter what platform you're on, for free without paying for it, then you haven't qualified yourself yet to run ads. Ads can be insanely powerful when you've worked out how to communicate and connect with your ideal people. And you're going to be better at doing that than any external organization. That being said, adverts are powerful, and having somebody work with you to do that can be a good investment. But I would encourage you first to look at how can we connect with and reach people without paying anything, because that's where the power and the value is. And guys, you can do insanely awesome stuff on social media without spending any money at all. So although advertising is powerful, and we spend about $1,500 a day in our business, just on our business, on adverts, we know that they're powerful, but we didn't start doing that until we worked out how to connect and communicate with our perfect customer first. Otherwise, our ads were going to be a waste of time and money. Cool. All right. So Grace, I'm going to jump out there and sort of let people go ahead.
Oh, you just froze. Uh-oh. Hello? Can anyone hear me? It just froze. Sam just froze. Is anyone else frozen? Oh, Sam's just frozen. Is that okay?
Sorry.
Go.
That's what happens when I talk too much. Zoom just boots me out.
Right. I was like, Sam's there. No, she's not. Okay, great.
Yeah, no, it booted me up.
Oh, okay.
I'm back.
Okay, so just a couple of questions and just things that I want to, I guess, what you've said. So your target market, let's go back to that. If you're thinking about your target market and the people, like your avatar, that is people. How would you go about finding that out?
Okay. So the first thing is we've actually got a worksheet I can provide you if you like, which is it sort of walks you through that process and asks you the questions that you should be asking about your ideal customers. So I'd be happy to provide you with that, Grace. I can email it to you afterwards and you can send it out to these guys. But what I would first of all say is pay attention and get curious. Watch what they're doing on social media. And when I said in my slides, be conversational, like asking questions is really powerful. If you want to know what platform are my customers using, jump onto each platform and ask the question, how do you use Facebook? How do you connect with businesses for the first time? Is it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn? If you want to know what magazines they read, what movies they watch, by the way, these are all very important things to know. Ask the question, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite magazine? Do you rather read books or do you read Kindle and, tablets? Like, get to know your customer by asking the question. And the two things happen in doing that. The first is we learn about them, but the second is that we start building a relationship with them because they feel like we actually care about who they are too. So observe, watch, pay attention. But I can give you that downloadable worksheet if that's helpful for you. By the way, all the questions that were asked while we were live before have all disappeared for me now because I went out and came back in. So I can't see any of the questions that were asked.
So you answered the question on that. Sue asked about, we use LinkedIn, not Facebook, as we want to get business from corporates. How do you go about getting more information on them?
So on LinkedIn, sorry, she's asking, how do we get more information about our customers on LinkedIn? Yeah. So LinkedIn do provide some insights. Although corporates, so look, again, asking the question is going to be really powerful. So observing, getting curious, definitely pay attention to what LinkedIn, if you've got the paid version of LinkedIn, there's some really great insights and things you can get from that, which will tell you a bit of information. But for that reason, I'm a really big fan of Facebook. So when I was with the entertainment book, I did use LinkedIn then quite a lot because obviously we were working with a lot of you guys, with corporates. However, I also connected with most of those people on Facebook as well, because what I was then able to do was learn a little bit more about what made you tick from a personal level. Knowing who they are from a professional standpoint is helpful at the user end, but when it comes to actually getting to know what really makes them tick, you need to know them personally. So Facebook's really great for that. So I would encourage to use Facebook to find out a little bit more about the things that actually matter.
Yeah. And I think you also, like, going back to, I would use LinkedIn for me personally as as a not-for-profit. Here's some information that I can share to you as a not-for-profit to help you in your not-for-profit. So, you know, it's all around like getting corporate partnerships and seeing what different corporates might be giving to, if that's what you're trying to like obtain. If you're trying to obtain corporate partnerships, I would be going on to, so going back to that avatar, if it's about corporate partnerships, you know, what other organizations are they partnered with? What types of things do they do? Looking at their social media and saying, okay, so it's kind of like a bit of a stalking. You're kind of like mimicking whatever.
Yeah.
And on Facebook, you can actually compare yourself to organizations like yourself.
You can. So getting into groups and pages that are similar and having a look at what's going on in there, taking inspiration from that. The other thing is that there's a tool on Facebook called Audience Insights. If you've got over 1,000 people following your Facebook page, which I'm sure most of you guys do, Audience Insights is really powerful, because what you can actually do is Facebook will tell you all these things it knows about your customers. So it will tell you things like, you know, what their demographic is, what other pages they follow, so that you can then go, okay, so they're all following this page. Let's go over there and see what that person is doing, or what that organization is doing. And then let's have a look at their LinkedIn and have a look at how they're behaving there. And let's have a look at their Twitter and see what they're doing there. So Audience Insights will tell you some really valuable information about your customers as a whole. And it shares that information it's gathered with you to help you better deliver them content that it knows they want to see. So there are some really cool things that you can do in that space.
Yeah. The question that came through was about the Google ads. So they're spending a lot of money. What's the difference between Google ads and Facebook ads? And then if you want to tap on the end, boosts versus paid ads. Because I know it's really easy to boost. Like they're just like, oh, do you want to boost this post? But what does that actually mean if you try and boost it, as opposed to so Google maybe first and then?
So Google, I'm not going to go too deep into that, because I'm a true believer in focusing on specializing in one space. And Google ads is like China versus Australia when it comes to Facebook ads. Google ads does have some power and it's got some value, but I highly recommend speaking to someone who's an expert in that space. However, what I do know about Facebook ads is, number one, they're a lot cheaper. They're a lot cheaper and they're a lot easier to maneuver. And you can run your Facebook ads yourself, whereas Google ads, a little bit more complex. And I do recommend getting an expert to do your Google ads for you. Whereas I think you guys are capable of doing your own Facebook ads when you've got some knowledge. Facebook ads versus boost. When you do a boost, that's when you take a post you've already put on your Facebook feed or your Instagram, and you say to Facebook, because Facebook owns Instagram and Facebook, by the way, in case you guys were unaware of that. So this is why you can run ads and boost simultaneously on both platforms. So a boost is where you take a post you've already put up and you say, I want to deliver this to more people. I want more people to see this post. So you tell Facebook who you want it to go to. You can be specific about your audience and it will push that post out to more people. An advert is when you go into the back end of Facebook, into the ad manager, and you create an ad, which could be an existing post, but you create a specific ad and you tell Facebook who you want that to be delivered to. And that post will float around in cyberspace and it will randomly land on the feeds of the people that you told Facebook you want to see it. So if you say, I want this post to only go to males that own a Volvo that are over the age of 50, they're the people that are going to see your post. It won't appear on your main feed. So this is where people get a bit confused sometimes. They do an ad and they go, why can't I see it? It's because it's only being delivered to the people that you want it to go to. This actually means that you can segment people. In fact, you can exclude certain people from ever seeing particular promotions. So if you've identified that you've got 2 customers, for example, you've got the people that you help and the people that support you, then you could deliver one advert to these people and a completely different ad to these people and make sure that the others never see the other person's ad. So this is where adverts are really much more powerful, because you can be super specific. Where people go wrong is they haven't done any learning around ads and they start spending money, and it's a big waste of their money because they don't have an understanding. So it is well worth getting some education around how to run ads, but be mindful that you are being specific. The more specific you can be with your ads, the more powerful that they are. The other thing about Facebook ads and boosts that's really great is that you can edit, change, stop, pause, restart, turn up, turn down your ads at any point. So, for example, we run an ad every day to get people into our free webinars. My husband, Greg, runs the ads now, and he'll actually go into those ads and edit them every day to change the time and the day that the next webinar is happening. And then he'll work out which ads are performing. He'll turn some off, he'll turn others on, he'll learn. And so we get really good value out of them. They work really well because we're on them all the time, but it does take a lot of attention. Whereas Google ads are more about search ranking. So positioning yourself ahead of others. Whereas Facebook is saying, I'm going to pick someone out of the crowd and I'm going to show this stuff to them. Google ads are a little bit different in that sense. However, Google ads are really powerful as well, just different.
Yeah, so boost is really good if you've got like your audience and then you just want them, more of those people to see it if it's not organic.
But again, I'm going to repeat what I said before, and that is you can pay Facebook to deliver your stuff to more people. You can't pay for them to click on it. So if you go, oh, well, this post should be doing really well, but it's not, I'm going to pay for people to see it because surely if they see it, it's going to get a better result. It's quite possible that you just haven't quite hit the nail on the head with the messaging. And just by paying for it is not going to change anything. This is why I'm a big encourager of look at your insights, pay attention to what is or isn't working. Look at what your audience are engaging with naturally and use that as a way to deliver them more of the stuff that they want to see, because sometimes it's tweaking one or two words or it's changing that image ever so slightly to get a better result. And then if you boost a post, I usually say to people, the indicator for you when you're thinking of boosting a post is watch it for 24 to 48 hours. If that post performs well, then give it a boost because you know it's organically getting reach and interaction. But if after 24 to 48 hours, that post is landing flat, it's doing nothing, by paying people for more people to see it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a better result. Kim's asked, is there any ideal time or day to post? Kim, there is, but yours is different to everyone else's. So again, I encourage you to go into your Facebook insights and it will actually tell you in there when your fans and followers are online. So it will tell you what time of day, what day of the week. Yours will be different from somebody else's. And by the way, it will change throughout the year. So daylight savings versus not, versus summer versus winter. People change their usage over those periods. I do want to give you a little pointer here, though, that I think is really, really important when it comes to the time of day to post. People often get hung up on when are all of my fans and followers on Facebook? I'm going to be posting then. Just because majority of them are on your page at 9 o'clock at night on a Wednesday doesn't mean that's the best time to be posting a big informative post about your next fundraising run. Think about what it's, I can't stress enough how important it is to get into your people's shoes. What are they doing at 9 o'clock at night? You know, are they just scrolling for entertainment? Is that why they're all on Facebook? Is that the best time to be actively promoting something? Or is it better to be promoting something like that at 7 o'clock in the morning when they're alert, they're ready to properly read and take information on versus at night? So just consider, what are they doing at that time of day? And again, that comes back to knowing who your people are and what makes them tick.
So Kim, so last questions, Kim's asked about the social media audience. Can you only post your own content and thrive, or do you need to share other content? Is less is more? And just to expand on that with the content. So for example, you were saying before being specific about it. like I have values, so I might do a quote, I might do information, I might do so on my weekly, you know, strategic plan for social media, there's particular themes, and which is what that objective is. So from a structural perspective, it might be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have like a quote, a funny picture, you know, so certain, you know, the 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So content is key to reaching your ideal people. So once you've worked out who they are, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to work out what you need to deliver them that they're going to actually care about. I do encourage you to do a post brainstorm and do this maybe once every 1 to 3 months. And this is kind of a creative zone you need to get yourself into. I don't encourage having a plan for every week and sticking to that plan and not deviating from that. What I do encourage you to do is sit down, say once every month or once every quarter, and come up with a minimum, and I mean a minimum of 10 post ideas. Now, these are like topics. So it could be, one might be education. One might be what's happening in the industry. Another might be behind the scenes, what we're doing in the office. Another might be introducing a staff member or a team member. Another might be a story about, you know, someone that we've helped. Another one might be a self-promotional post, something that we want to promote, you know, something that's going on. Another might be a quote. And what I would encourage you to do is every week, schedule and plan out your posts. But before you then plan the next week, have a look at your insights and have a look at what worked and what didn't, what got interaction, what didn't. If you did a quote post last week and that quote post kind of flatlined, but in your gut, you're thinking, I actually think people like these sorts of posts, so I'm going to try it again. Try another one on a different day at a different time and see if you get a different result. But be really curious about what you're putting out there and learn from your people. Don't assume that they should love this, and so therefore I'm going to keep doing this type of content because it should be getting results or because somebody else is getting results. Pay attention to what's working. If you put a post out there and it's what we call a unicorn post that just goes gangbusters and it does really, really well, learn from that. What worked well, what didn't. I really encourage all of you, though, to incorporate into your social media plan a question post or interactive post at least once a week, that like a conversational post. The reason for that is because Facebook favors healthy conversation. So anywhere you can get people interacting below your post and you are interacting back with them, so there's back and forward conversation, Facebook will push that out to a lot more people. So it's really valuable. But Kim, in answer to your question, I definitely recommend daily posts, but I recommend planning them out once a week. So whoever's running your social media, I suggest that they spend a 2 to 3 hour block once a week in one go. Don't separate it out throughout the week. A 2 to 3 hour block where they plan out, what are the posts we're going to do this week? What days and times am I going to schedule them in? And then when they come back to do that block again the following week, they look at what worked, what did people interact with, what got a result, what didn't get a result. Right, let's use that information and we'll plan out the next week. The reason I say to have at least 10 different post ideas is because you've got different things to pull from. You're only ever going to use 5 to 7 of those in a week. So it gives you a few things to play with. And it's a great idea to do that as a team, because more heads is better than one. You will come up with some brilliant ideas when you're all bouncing ideas off each other. Make it a fun team meeting. Bring some cake and coffee and sit down and actually plan out, you know, everyone, let's come up with some great ideas for posts for social media. Some you'll throw out, but some will become, you know, some of the most powerful things that you ever put out there. And I definitely recommend scheduling direct through Facebook, guys, unless you're using multiple platforms or you've got many Facebook pages, in which case the one that we use is Later. It's more cost effective. It's cheaper. Sorry, that's what I just said, but it is free if you have got, I think, 2 or less than that platform. So if you've got 1 or 2 platforms, I think you don't pay for it. But you can schedule to Instagram on Later. That's one of the reasons I really like it. But guys, if you're only using Facebook, don't use a scheduling platform. Go direct through Facebook. Less glitches. It's perfectly fine. No problems with using it.
Thank you, Sam. That's so amazing. We will have a couple of, if you've got any questions, I can always ask Sam later. I can't change the view to put us on the side by side, but if you have any questions, I can ask that of Sam. Do you want to talk about your online programs that you do?
Yeah, look, I mean, as I said earlier, we specialize in educating now, and we work specifically with direct sellers. However, we do have online courses that really cover off on everything that's relevant for any organization. We just reference direct selling all the way through that. So, if you do have a social media team and you want them to get some further education and understanding, you want to go back to the grassroots and make sure that they're doing social media right from the beginning, they're getting the education, the knowledge, etc., then we do have an online course. We also have a group called the Accelerator membership that goes with that course, where we do a live training every week and Q&As once a month as well. And that's a great place to get that further knowledge around things that are a bit more specific, like how to run an ad, how to do a boost, how to check out Facebook audience insights and learn about your customer, all of that stuff. So happy to chat with anyone if anyone's, wants to know a bit more about that. But definitely check out our podcast. I will send you that download as well, Grace. And if anyone wants to have a look at our website, we've got some extra downloads on there as well. You're welcome to grab those cheat sheets and share them with your social media team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thanks,
everyone. You were amazing as per usual. She's always got great content and she makes it make sense. So if you do have any questions, I can stay on a little bit. Sam's got to head off. But
I do. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So thanks for being here, Sam, for your time, and yeah, really appreciate it. So if anyone, I'll send out an email in response. You'll also get the link to this. I've recorded this, so you'll also get the link to this presentation that you can share for those of you that have registered. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, thank you
awesome.
so much.
Well, thanks everyone for jumping on in. It was great to chat with you all. And please don't hesitate to reach out if anyone has any questions. Grace, I'm really happy for you to pass on my email if anyone wants to reach out and ask a question direct. That's no problems. Or they can, of course, connect with us through our Oxano Marketing Facebook page as well. But have a really awesome day, everyone. Look after yourselves.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for coming.